How are we doing? Today we're going to go over the drill press or drilling. First, what we'll want to do is start off with drill bits. There's many different types of drill bits, and you want to use the right drill bit for the right application that you're doing. All right, we'll just go over a few. This is a spade bit, and this is for drilling all the way through the wood. This is an index box, and what it does is it indicates the size of all the different drill bits. Here we have a 1/2 inch, and then we go all the way down to a 1/16 of an inch. And these are for drilling holes in wood all the way through. So there's a variety of different drill bits. Here's another one, and they're two different size ones. And these are for countersinking for screws. So each drill bit is used for a specific application. I wouldn't want to use a Forstner bit to drill a hole all the way through wood. This is designed just to go part way in and to make a hole, say, a 1/2 inch into a piece of wood. So here's a whole set of Forstner bits. As I said, they come in many shapes and sizes, and they all do different things. Here's another bit, and this is for drilling big holes, and I can actually adjust this. So here would be the radius. All right, so when I'm drilling a hole, this is going to spin around. I can make big holes. So depending on the application, what type of hole you want is which bit you'll choose. We're now just going to take a general bit. We'll go over to the drill press and show you how that works. Here we have a typical drill press. Most drill presses are pretty much the same. Some will have a few different functions than other ones. But basically, you have your table where the wood will sit on. You have your chuck, that's where your bit will sit in, all right? Your lever to bring the bit down. Over here, we do have a stop, so we could set this if we want to go in and only do certain depths. What we have on this one, which not all drill presses have, we can raise this up, and here's some rollers, so if I was going to be doing boards that are really long, instead of using the portable roller stand, this would then come out. We would raise this up, same level as the table, and I could do large boards. The base, your column in the back, your motors in the back. Right here, this is a key piece. Haha, that's my humor. This is a chuck key, all right? And this is for tightening in the bits. Make sure when you're done that you put the chuck key back in place. Very hard to use the machine without that. Again, your area you want to keep clean of scrap. Here is a little insert. Sometimes, depending on what you're doing, this gets all cut up. And when you drill a hole, you're going through the wood and into the table. So this is a nice feature on this one. So here was a hole drilled, here's a hole drilled. We rotate it around, it will go in different spots. It's a square. And then when there's too many on this side, we'll come over here. And then once it's too holy, all right, we'll get rid of it and put a new one in there. Although some people will say you can never be too holy. Now I'm going to take the bit, and what I want to do is put it into the chuck and turn it. And then I'll get the chuck key, put it in, and then tighten it. You don't want to over tighten it. It'll be really hard to get out. Put the key back in its place before you use it. The drill press can be set for different speeds. So here's the different gears. It's kind of like a bicycle with your bigger and your smaller wheels. We have it pretty well set for standard drilling, but if you need to do specific thing, if you were going, say for an example, onto a really, really hard wood, we would want to change the speed. Or if you're going in with a really big bit, we would change the speeds. So this is pretty well set. If you are getting a drill press for your own, it's always good to get a variable speed one. Make sure that that is closed, guards in place, eye safety, ear protection. We're ready to go drill. So then you have your piece of wood. Now I could be going through stock that's 4, 5, 6 inches thick. So when I put it down, what I want to do is raise or lower the table. So if my stock was really thick, I would have to drop this down. So what I want to do is go over here and loosen, and the hand wheel here will raise or lower your stock. What I want to do is bring this up, and I am going to bring it all the way up until there's about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch, and then lock it in place. I could have it lower because I can drop this down about 4 inches, but you're better to be close to the wood where you're starting. So if I had a thick piece of wood, I'd have the table down lower. Now I'm ready to drill my holes. So I'll have my piece of wood, and I would have measured, and I'm just going to make a mark. That's where I want my holes to be. Now normally you're measuring it. This is precise. I'm just showing you. So what I'd want to do is I'm going to drop down, and if you see real closely the tip of the drill bit, what I'd want to do is bring that down right on my mark and then raise it up. There's also some devices that will go in here that could clamp this down. This is not a really big piece of wood, so I'm just going to hold it by hand. And then what I will do is turn it on and slowly bring the bit down. Turn it off. So here you see I have drilled a hole. Now let's just say I only wanted to go halfway through on this. So what I would do is set up my wood. I would have my mark on how far down I'm going to go, and I would bring it down, and there's my depth. Now what I'm going to do is come up here, and I'm going to drop this down. So now what will happen is I'll turn the hand wheel, and then it will stop. This is a stop. Bingo. So now, let's just say I was doing some shelving and I had different holes for my pins to go in. So what I would do is I can line that up. Now I'm going to show you on drilling different holes. So I've lined up, I go on, I got my head down, drill my hole, and that's as far as it goes. It's stopped. Come up, I'm going to move it over, slowly bring it down, line it up, get my head up. So now if you see, I have 3 different holes, all right, that only went partial way in. So depending on what you're doing, what you'll set it up. So now, take it out, you're done with this. Now again, I'm just showing you, if I was gonna do a whole bunch of holes that were for pins for shelving, I really wouldn't use this machine. We have a line boring machine which can do 13 holes at the same time, and it's set for that. We'll show you that on a later time. If I needed to drill a hole and have the wood at an angle, I can either do a block, so the wood is up at an angle, or better yet, a lot of the drill presses, what you can do is you can tilt the table. So I can take this table and tilt it. I'd have to loosen this and then turn it. But if I was doing that in here, I would go over and use the other drill press, which is much easier to use. Let's go take a look at that one. The larger drill press is just like the little one, but does a little bit more, where the table tilts towards you and to the sides. Your stop guide is much easier to adjust. This one has a light to it. You adjust the speeds here versus changing the belt, so this will do it for you. But everything else is pretty much the same. The chuck key for this one is kept down here, where on the other one, it's over there. So here's the underside of the other drill press, I can just loosen those and then I can tilt the table. So here you see the index. So if I wanted to set that at say 20 degrees, I could lock that in. Now, if I was drilling this, this would be hard to hold. What you would like to do then is lock it in place. So now I have an extra hand. Not only can you tilt the table towards you, but if you release the pin, we can also tilt the table the other way. So now what I have is now, just like on the table saw, we now have a compound angle for drilling. Doesn't happen very much, but every once in a while you might have to do this. So depending on the applications that you're doing would be what drill press that you would get. This drill press is more versatile, does more things than the other drill press. And when you're done with your drilling, always return the machine back to the position that you started with. If you're drilling holes in large pieces of stock, you want to make sure that the longer piece is to your left. The drill bit spins. If it does get caught and come around, the shaft will stop it. If you had it where the long piece is on your right, it will spin and hit you. So rule of thumb, long pieces of wood, keep them to your left. So if I had a hole here, this is where it would be. If I have a hole here, that's how it's going to be. And again, long pieces of wood, sometimes what I want to do is bring up the roller stand, or if it's really long, it's always good to have a partner. If I wanted to drill a bunch of holes, let's just say 3 or 4, an inch in, all right? That's precise measurements. And I was doing them 2 inches apart. What I could do is set up a fence on this. So what I would do is bring it in and get my measurement of where I want to drill, lock down my fence, and then what I could do is set up a stop. So I could set it up that I wanted a hole at 6 inches in, and then I could drill it, or I have a bunch of pieces and I'm drilling a bunch of different pieces at 6 inches, or I could do it 6 inches and then move it out to 8 inches and then to 10, and to do 2-inch increments. So I want to drill halfway into the wood. I'm going to bring the drill bit down, and I am going to loosen the stop, so it is only going to go in so far. So now I have the wood against the fence. Turn it on. And then what I could do is come down and drill my holes. The other thing I could have done is, I'm going to turn this around, I could have set up my stop. And now I'm doing 2-inch increments. And if you notice on these holes, they're not going all the way through. Here's one all the way through. Here's one that is just going partially through. So the drill press is a very versatile, different machine that you can do. There are a lot of different bits you can put on it. You can tilt the table one way, or you can actually do 2 different angles. There's a lot of other tools that you can use with this. If you're doing round stock, we have what's called a V-block, and we'll go into more details on other things you can do with the drill press. Look forward to seeing you in class.